Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Help My Business is Growing, a podcast where we explore how to grow and build a business that is healthy and sustainable. I'm your host, Kathy Svatina, a fractional CFO and a founder of Newcastle Finance, a company where we believe that everything that you do in your business is eventually going to end up in your finances. And to get to healthy finances is to have a healthy business. Well, that all sounds great, but how in the world do you get there? Well, this is where this podcast comes in to help. Have you ever wondered why some businesses thrive while others struggle to build and maintain genuine connections with their customers, partners, and stakeholders? The answer is usually because they have limited time, are focused on making sales, and are not sure about how to go about building these relationships without coming across as fake. Sadly, though, when a company fails to show genuine appreciation, it loses touch with their customers, it misses out on the opportunities to grow a loyal following, and can become forgotten amongst the competition. Well, the panacea for this is appreciation marketing. It's a strategy that helps businesses build lasting relationships by saying thank you and showing their care. And with appreciation marketing, you can strengthen your ties with your customers, partners, and everyone else who matters in your business. But what is appreciation marketing exactly, and how does it work? And most importantly, how do you implement it and maintain it as a practice in your business for the long run? Because this is not a quick fix. It takes a while. And the better that you are at implementing it, the more effective it's going to be. As a quick reminder, all of the episodes on this podcast, including this one, come with timestamps for the topics that we discussed, and each one has its own blog post. So you can find all the links and the detailed topics in this episode's show notes. It's a resource for you. Go ahead and use it. My guest today is Curtis Lewsey. He comes with over 15 years of experience in sales and marketing. Curtis began his journey as a cold caller, but his focus quickly shifted towards genuine connections and referrals, leading to co-authoring the national best-selling book, Appreciation Marketing: How to Achieve Greatness Through Gratitude. Curtis's global platform educates team on the power of appreciation marketing in today's tech-driven world. He found that AM cards addressing the need for businesses to create ongoing customer appreciation. Join us. Curtis, welcome to Help My Business is Growing.
Hey, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So glad you're here. We're going to be talking about appreciation marketing, which is one of the marketing strategies that you can use for the business. And when we first connected, I was really intrigued by this concept because you don't really hear a lot about it. So my first question right now is, what exactly is appreciation marketing?
Well, the grand scheme of things, appreciation marketing is sending out without expectation of trying to get something in return. So when you think marketing, you think marketing. What am I going to send out? What am I going to get? How many leads can I get? What can I close? What's my return on investment? All this stuff is marketing. And one of the harder things to break down, to evaluate is when I take care of my customers, when I send birthday cards or I reach out in kindness without expectation of getting something in return, what does that do for my business? Building the goodwill. So people want to talk behind my back in a good way. And they want to come back to the business and they want to send me their friends, family members, coworkers, neighbors, to send me the business. So in essence, appreciation marketing is sending out without expectation of trying to get something in return.
So, as a finance person, I got to ask this. You're putting some resources in money, in terms of money, in terms of people. When you're doing that, it sounds great, but how does that really turn into a financial benefit to you? And this is one of the things, because it sounds great, but if someone's thinking, okay, I understand this, but I need to still get something in return, what is your answer to that? What would your...
all those studies that are out there, it shows you that it costs upwards of 10 times more to get a new client than it is to retain an old one. And the number one reason why somebody is going to go and do business someplace else is they don't remember you. But in some cases, of course, they're going to remember you, because in certain situations, I get that. But the number two is perceived indifference, is a fancy way of saying they don't think that you actually care. So when you simply show up in their life and you show that you care, and And there's some things that you don't have to, it doesn't cost you money. It might cost you time to pick up the phone and wish somebody happy birthday. Pick up the phone and say, can you believe it's already been 5 years since we've worked together? I just want to thank you so much for being so loyal and for your trust. And over the years, sending so many people my way. It just means the world to me. You see on Facebook or Instagram, maybe you're connected to some of your clients. Maybe you see somebody has a grandbaby and you go on Amazon and you buy a little something and have it drop shipped to their house and get a gift wrapped and type a little note. Or you go to Edible Arrangements, or if you go on to Uber Eats and drop something. And those are little things where you're adding deposits, and those deposits, they add up and they compound. And so one of the things that you might want to look at is to say, okay, well, this client is worth X amount of money per year to me. Could you carve out 1% of that revenue and reinvest back into that client? And so what if a client's worth $10,000 to you? What could you spend $100 on them over the course of the year? Are you going to maybe do something for the holidays? Do you want to do something that's more memorable? I'll give you an example. This is appreciation marketing at its finest. Okay. So I was helping a mortgage broker years ago, and he had a coach. And this was back in the day, like this, when I was first getting started. He told me he paid his coach $5,000 a month. I was like, my jaw like almost hit the floor. Now I have a lot of people that pay coaches way more than that in different areas of their life, right? And I was like, wow, what do you get for and he told me, well, the biggest thing is accountability. And one of the things that he just told me recently was that I need to take, because most of his business came from real estate agents that brought him the business, okay, here in Florida. And I know in different states, there's different people that might be a title company or whatever. But anyway, so he said to me, I had to take my top 20 real estate agents that I work with, and I had to go and stalk them on social media. I'm like, so I'm friends with them because I literally had to go into their interests, go into their likes, go into like who they follow, go into say, oh, that person went to a Tom Petty concert. This person loves Tom Brady, like whatever it may be. Now in that industry, you can only spend a certain amount of money. It's like $25 or something. Like there's certain things that you can do that you can write off, and like other things you can't. And then there's regulations. It's like that in the finance world as well. Well, so here's what he did. He went online. He said, this person loves Tom Brady. He's from Massachusetts, but he lives here in Florida, and he's a real estate agent. And he bought one of those big foam fingers on eBay for like $5. And it said like New England Patriots. And it was the old school, old logo. Then he found an old picture of Tom Brady from like in college when he was playing in Michigan. He bought the picture, went to like the dollar store and bought a little frame, put it in the frame with a $5 foam finger that was $5. He spent like $10 on this. And then he had his assistant help wrap it all up, and he handwrote a letter and put it all together and set it in the side for the birthday present that year. But the birthday was 3 or 4 months later. The coach told him to do this for all 20 of them and do something memorable, do something outside the box. Did it take time? Yes, not much money. The amount of traction that he got on that on social media, posting, everybody posted, everybody was tagging him and was like, oh my God, this guy is great. And he's like, Curtis, the return on those types of investments is like, it's hard to even calculate it because one turns into another one. And, some real estate agents, they might send you a little business. They might send this person a little business. They kind of sprinkle it around. But when you do something like that, you've only one person in their mind that's going to take care of my loans going forward. And so when you do those types of things and you add value and like, it's really how you show up in people's lives. So you get a lead by what you do. You earn repeat and referral business by who you are and how you show up in people's lives. And so think about how he's showing up in people's lives. And then you can audit and take a look and say, how am I showing up in people's lives? And just making sure that you do different things because, I know you say like, if you look at all your customers dollar signs and decimal points, then there's good chances that the lens that they look at you back is, to me, it's like maybe just a transactional piece of a transactional company as well. You think of me as a transaction, they may think of you as just a transaction as well, and they're easier to take their money elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And when it's a transaction, it's so easy to go to some other guy or gal that it's cheaper than you because there really is no differentiation. As you were talking about is especially in terms of now people really being exciting and posting it on social media. And I know this is kind of a sad example, but it's a perfect example that I have come across in my life. Chewy.com is a pet store. And what they're really known for is when people have trouble with their pets, like when a pet passed away, they will actually send flowers to the owners and send their sympathies. And I will tell you, I have a 20-year-old cat and I am getting ready for that moment at this point. But I've heard a lot of people talking about this on social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it might be, of having that experience with Chewy. And now when I'm thinking of what am I buying for the cat, where am I buying it? I always go to Chewy, not because I'm expecting something from them, but because it feels like that they really care about their customers and that they're like bending over backwards to make you feel comfortable, cared, all of that stuff. And it's interesting. You might not have that experience yourself, but you see other people having that experience and it automatically makes you more warmed up to a particular vendor than someone else.
Yeah, good point.
And even interestingly enough, like I can get cheaper stuff on Amazon and I won't buy it on Amazon. I will actually go to Chewy.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. Like anybody who's in business, it's like, how do you become the one within your network? Because see, everybody has this invincible door that's behind them that only they can open. And, I have a lot of people in my life, Kathy, that you don't know that you might want to meet someday. And we build this relationship and we have a level of trust. I know what you do. I may have a perfect fit for you in the future. It may not be right away. It may be down the road. And you want to be able to have that. Like when I went to Australia years ago and I spent 6 months there back in 2012. It's 12 years ago now. And I didn't know anybody. And I was looking to build and grow a business in another country. And so I went to these networking events and I went there to first give, to see what can I do so I was connecting with people, all different parts of Melbourne, Australia. And then I was tying people together and introducing in people. And I built some lifelong friendships, business relationships because of me connecting different people. And because I wasn't there trying to sell first. I was there trying to understand what their business was. Yes, I was educating them on what was possible, what I had. But some of the best connections I came wasn't through them. It was them liking me and saying, you got to meet my friend. Next thing you know, I'm doing a presentation in front of 100 people. I'm doing this. I would have never had that if I sat at them trying to get. See, that's kind of like appreciation marketing is like figuring out ways that you might be able to add value to somebody. And then the law of reciprocity, it does kick in. People want to try to do something and go out of their way to try to help you. And I've grown a really big business because of that. I mean, the book that I wrote called Appreciation Marketing, How to Achieve Greatness Through Gratitude. In that book, we talk a lot about that. And when I say that you get a lead by what you do, you earn referrals and repeat business by who you are and how you show up in people's lives. One of the things I like to tell people is that the real fortune, people think the fortune's in the follow-up. Got a lead, call it. You want to sell them, close them, on to the next, the real fortune in the follow-up lies after the sale. Think about that for a second. Like I work with a lot of car dealerships, and in the car dealership world, a lot of the mentality is let's close out the week, close out the month. I'll worry about next month when I get there. And however, the people at the top, the people that actually have vested in the company, the people that have partners, ownership interests, they're trying to look next quarter, next year, a few years down the road, and they're more apt to make investments that's going to help secure their future paycheck. And the smartest business owners will realize that their greatest assets are employees, right? The greatest assets are employees. You got to look at the employees as like the greatest asset that you have. And then, you got to take care of your customers. So if the second greatest asset is your customers, what are you doing to be able to stay in front of them? And so we're so focused on grabbing that, getting that next sale, getting that next piece of business. And this was me for a few years right out of college. I sold toilet paper, air fresheners, and soaps. I knocked on every door, every store, and every floor trying to sell that for Cintas Corporation. I learned a lot. And then I started transitioning and I started realizing one of the biggest competitive advantages in all of business and life. Saying thank you, being appreciative and being genuine and authentic in that approach.
Was there anything specific that happened when you realized, especially, when you were selling toilet paper? And I mean, that is pretty transactional, what I think in my head, like, is there anything that was specific that happened and you realized that light bulb went on and say, hey, there's a better way to do this? Yeah.
The number one sales rep worked he made twice as much money as us. And he worked half the amount of hours.
Wow.
And I thought the company was just feeding them leads. And what I realized was he had eyes and ears all over the place feeding him business. So you're tied to Wall Street. So you're only as good as your last sale. So you start over really at zero every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year. And so there was no recurring revenues, if you will, like for a salesperson. You get a base salary, you get commission on what you sell, it gets turned over to customer service. This guy, Sean, he looked at the driver. So when you sell an account, the driver drives a truck weekly and takes the dirty laundry or the dirty floor mats or changes out the toilet paper and the air fresheners and the soaps and that kind of stuff, right? So there's a service, a business service that we're selling. Well, all those drivers were all his friends. And when you're driving on a back street and you see a sign that says under new management or coming soon, that's a perfect opportunity to get that phone call, because usually the first one in the door gets the business. They don't need your services until after they open, but they can sign that contract ahead of time and be ready for it on opening day. Well, he had so much business coming his way. And then I didn't realize this little strategy. And then what he was doing was making sure that he appreciated when something like that happened. He'd give him a $25 Applebee's gift card, or he'll buy him lunch, or he'll meet up with him and have a beer. Like, that's the kind of stuff he was doing, like what friends would do. So when he told me that, and he says, Curtis, you need to get to know people a little bit more for who they are, not just what they do. If you're looking at everybody as what they do, you realize who they are. What they do might feed who they are. Who are they as a person in real life? What do they like to do? Because this is what they do to maybe generate an income to provide for their family. But what is their passions? What do they like to do outside of work? Where do they like to travel? What do they like to eat? What are their hobbies? Like those types of little things. And I'm not saying like you need to get to know to everybody like that, but there's certain people. What if you have a referral source that feeds you business, like, and you get to know them and understand them, and then like you're the only person that they're sending business to. Anyway, when that was the click for me, when he said that to me, and then I started focusing on, maybe it's not as transactional with that, but maybe there's other people that I can build relationships to that's going to help me work smarter and not just harder.
I mean, what I'm hearing is it's based also on creativity. So you have to be a little bit creative to think outside the box. But if you're trying to implement this, like what are some of the things that you could do to get yourself to be creative about this? Because, and I've seen this, sometimes people will send, wines and these gift baskets and stuff, and which is fine. It's great. But what really moves the needle from what I've heard so far is making something meaningful. And it doesn't have to be expensive, like, the Tom Brady picture. It just has to be meaningful to that particular person. So how do you find those meaningful things about your referral partner or about your future, hopefully, the repeat customer? I mean, do you stock them online? What do you do?
So, yeah. And, there's and some people listening to this and be like, that's kind of creepy. I don't have that type of connection with my customer. Like that's a little bit different. Yes, I get that. But there's also some people customers that become friends, referral sources, like look at that as an extension, like they're bringing you business. And like those are types of people that is a bridge for you. You want to make sure that it's just keeping your antennas up. If you do happen to follow some of these people on social media, or you happen to follow them on LinkedIn or whatever it may be, like you can see that they post some certain things like, oh, this one person, oh my gosh, like they just adopted a little boy, like beautiful, like recognize it. So when you can go out of your way to appreciate, recognize, or congratulate with things like not just a comment or a like or a love on social media, like taking it to that next step. Like, for instance, I have a lady that I know, I've known her probably 10, 15 years. She's very influential in a certain industry, and she's world sought out speaker, trainer, consultant. And we were just talking the other day, and then I saw her daughter posted on Facebook and tagged her. So I saw it, and it was a collage of pictures saying happy birthday to her mom. I texted her that day, and I actually just spoke to her a few days before that and I wished her happy birthday and everything. But I took that picture, I downloaded it, ran it through a photo enhancing program. And she goes, because she commented, she goes, oh my God, I love that so much. I want that in a picture frame. I'm going to do it for her. I'm going to actually print it out, put it in a picture frame, and I'm going to mail it to her. She may get another one, but maybe she'll have it up in her office and another one someplace else, but I'm going to do it for her. And so those are types of things that people will never forget. And like for instance, I own amcards.com. And so AM Cards, I built as a solution, especially for salespeople, for follow-up and for staying in touch and doing something in a creative way where you can take pictures and turn them into greeting cards. You can have your own signatures. You can also pre-schedule cards and say, I want birthday cards for the next 5 years to go out. I want happy anniversary of doing business. Okay, you sign a contract or you onboard a new client. Next thing you know, that might be June 1st, 2023. Well, June 1st, 2024 is coming up. You can have a card automatically go, can you believe it's already been 1 year since we working together? Wow, time flies. Just want to let you know how much I appreciate you and your business. Well, you can have that scheduled and that still feels very personalized, right? And you can attach a gift. Have a gift go out if you wish. So there's a lot of things that you can do on that. I built that for that reason, to be able to help create some automations and build it into workflows if they want to, but then also be able to do the most impactful one, which is the one-off, heartfelt, one-to-one, download a couple of pictures. I also use it for prospecting purposes too. So I'll give you an example. So I have this big car dealership. And they sell 1,100 cars a month between 3 locations. And one of the owners bought a restaurant last summer. And how I found out, I put a Google alert on his name. So I would be notified if something got posted on the internet. And I saw that he was written up in an article in Daytona Beach. And I took the article, screenshotted it, made it into a card and sent it to him. That card helped land me an appointment in person with him. And it would be a very large account if I land it. And I think I'm getting closer. I think that we're going to do it. It's just a matter of timing for him. But once we get it started, it won't stop. It's one of those things that they're investing in their future, right? So you sell a car in the next 3 to 5 years, they're getting cards and gifts and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of things that you can do. I think that one of the biggest things is being intentional and slowing down. I was taught a long time ago, sometimes you really need to slow down in order to speed up. And this is one of those things that means, we launched 30 car dealerships in the last 30 days. And they're big accounts for us. And so I have one of my people on my staff now reaching out to the controller who handles all of the financials. And they're the ones approving the ACHs or whatever. So I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, we like to practice what we preach. Do you mind please sending me over the birthday of the general manager, this person, and any other key people that you think that we should be sending cards to? We'll get that data, build it in, and then I have notifications in our CRM that's going to make sure I notified ahead of time so I can do some personalized stuff. After we launch them, I send them a charcuterie board, and I'm so glad that we could cut a deal. Appreciate you. It's just something corny. It's funny, but I want them thinking about us, and I want them with a smile, and when they pay that check, they have no problem because that what we're providing far exceeds what they feel like they're spending. And then it's harder to cut a service like that when it's wrapped around emotion and you're leading with your heart. Because what we're doing is making them look really good. They're sending birthday cards. Nobody sends. When's the last time you got a birthday card personalized in your mailbox? Very few. And if you do, maybe 1, maybe 2. Most of it's a text message GIF or a meme. That's the extent of what people get these days.
It was just my birthday about a month ago, and I got 3 birthday cards. It was from my physical therapist, from my financial advisor, and from a friend. And I got super excited, even though I knew, and I will tell you, this is so funny. I knew that the financial advisor and physical therapist, they basically send the same cards to everyone else. But I got super excited because I'm like, look at that. I got a card. It was so funny.
And physical print is more emotional. It's we have everything's digital these days and nothing gets really turned into print. So when you do something, it makes you stand out. And isn't that the purpose in business, is to stand out, to be different? And that's kind of what you want to kind of look at. And I think that's a good rule of thumb. Like I mentioned before, 1 to 1.5% of your commission or gross. I try to, if a car dealership, if they make $3,000 on a car, they should be able to carve out $30 and invest in that customer over the next $10 per year for 3 years. You pay for it up front. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that. Even a real estate agent that might get a $10,000 commission, they should be able to find $100 to $150. Now they're probably going to buy a closing gift. But then what's even more important than the closing gift is remembering them that a year later, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, because one client in the real estate world could be worth $100 to $150,000 in commissions over the lifetime. What if you had a few dozen of those people in your life, that over your career are feeding you a deal or two a year? My cousin, my sister's coming to town, all that kind of stuff. So it's just something to consider. And we get so caught up with trying to get that next piece of business, we oftentimes forget or take for granted what we currently have.
And, there's ways to automate that, and AM cards automates a lot of that stuff. But if you were trying to get to a more personal level, like we've talked about, with the Tom Brady example, obviously the ideal probably would be to use both of them so that you have more touch points. But that if someone's listening to this, they say, oh my goodness, that's a huge time commitment. And that seems to be a lot of effort. Is there anything that you can do to make this more streamlined, to have even the stuff that it's highly, highly personalized, put it into some sort of a workflow so that it's easier?
Yeah. And sometimes, easier is not always better. You could say, hey, I have a virtual assistant. Awesome. I'm going to have him call. You wouldn't have your personal assistant call your best friend on their birthday and wish him a happy birthday for you. You just don't do that. Some certain things you don't want to outsource. You don't want to outsource your own heart. There's certain things that, like when I mentioned about the anniversary of doing business or a birthday card, you can make that highly personalized, and you can and have it automated as well at the same time. However, real-time things that happen, I would also audit your database and take a look at it and really scroll through and take a look and say, who are my A, B, and C? Like, who are people that I've done business with? Who are people that I haven't done business with but have referred me business? That could be an A as well. Who are the people that are potentially could be a huge referral source for me? Who are the influencers in my life? Who are the people that could completely drastically put my business to a whole nother level if that person sent me the types of business? And that's a longer term play. It could, but once you land, I'll give you an example for that. Like I have a Remax agent in Virginia who was in a networking event and asked for an HR manager of this certain specific company that does government contract work. It's like big company. And they do a lot of relocations, a lot of people coming to town, flying in that are going to like put their roots there, and other people that are flying that are relocating to another location or another division. He sent a card with a box of brownies to the HR manager because somebody knew that person. Said, hey, I met this person. I would love to meet with you. I'm the local property expert here in the area, and I would love to be of value and of resource for you in your new position. They accepted a coffee, and they accepted to go off for a coffee. They met in person. This one person sent over a couple of people that were coming to town, and next thing you know, within months, it was 10 deals a month. Over 100 deals a year came from one connection, blew up their business. And so who's that one person that could put your business to a whole nother stratosphere? And so for me, I could say, okay, maybe it's a dealer group that has 50 locations. Imagine if that person liked me enough to roll it out to all 50. That's not a play that's probably going to happen in a week or two. I'm going to get in front of that person eventually. And then I got some creative outside the box things that I can do to be able to send it to them to capture their attention. And maybe there's one person out of that 50 that's going to pilot it for us. We go above and beyond, make it so smooth and such an awesome experience for them that they can't wait to tell everybody else in the group. That could be life-changing for me, so that kind of stuff. If you think about that in terms of your business, and also who are the top customers? One dealership is equal to over 100 to 150 real estate agents for me. So the time to land a dealership might take about the same amount of time to land 100 to 150 real estate agents, but then managing 100 to 150 with customer service and all that kind of stuff versus one, I look at my opportunity cost. I might want to spend a lot more money to acquire this customer over here because, the future is brighter. And, so there's, when you're saying and you're a financial person, when you break it all down, you say, where is my time best spent and where are the opportunity costs? If I'm saying yes to this, I'm saying no to something else.
Exactly. And then there's also, not all money is good money, because if you say yes to something, it's going to take a lot, like you said, with the real estate agent, it's going to take a lot more resources. You're going to have to scale your operation. You're going to have more expenses with that, versus if you have one dealership, you already have the operation set up, and just adding one more, it's not really going to make that huge of an impact as if you have 150 people that now you have to service and giving customer support and all that. So it matters to do that analysis before you start nurturing these relationships and trying to figure out where do I put my appreciation marketing efforts. It pays off if you take a step back and say, okay, who should I really go after and how is that going to affect the business? if they're starting to sending me all this business, how is that going to change my business? In what way, in what capacity, and how is that going to affect am I able to service these people? It goes back again, not all money is good money.
And there's a lot of strategies that you put in place. Like here's another strategy is if you think about the saying, behavior rewarded is behavior repeated. And so let's apply that to referrals. Let's say somebody sends you a referral. You may not sign the contract. You may not earn a commission check. You may not, that deal might never ever come through. But one way to ensure that you may never get another opportunity is to completely blow it off and not even really recognize that person went out of their way to send you a referral. Now, if you reward the behavior of somebody sending you a referral, you go out of your way to show your appreciation and gratitude, whether it's a small gift or a phone call or a handwritten letter or whatever it is that you do to let them know how much that means to you. There's a really good chance that you're going to, even if that one doesn't close, there's a good chance that another one may in the future because you'll get more opportunities when you're that appreciative. And then after it does, like reward the behavior. And then if something does transpire and something goes through, if it's legal for you and it's okay to share, because there's some industries like the medical profession, you can't go back to the person who referred and say, now they're my client and I'm working with them because of HIPAA violations, stuff like that. There's certain industries that you can't do that, but there's other industries that you absolutely can. A real estate agent, if they refer their cousin, they can go out of their way and do something extra special and nice for that person.
And it could be like, even in the medical profession, it could just be a simple thank you. Thank you for sending that person over.
Yes. But no reference of that they became a client or not.
Yeah.
Because,
exactly.
There's certain, my sister's in the medical profession and I was trying to get her to send like referral cards and like maybe little Starbucks cards or something like that. And like, she's like, Curtis, I have to be extra careful. I'm not even supposed to talk. Like after they send them my way, it's actually technically, I'm not even supposed to. There's catches in certain industries, of course, but
you're right. I mean, if you're a psychiatrist, psychologist, those can get really hairy. But I mean, for regular ones, like for example, for me, I'm in professional services or fractional CFO. I always say thank you. I mean, at least you can do is say thank you. Generally, I'll send a nice gift there as well. I mean, it really depends on who's sending the referral, but.
And then go out of your way. Like, because what happens if somebody sends you something and they work in an office, right? With other people that might be similar to them in their nature, like, and they send you, I would go out of my way and send like Uber Eats some cannolis and some brownies and cookies and a cake. I'll do something where I just send it over there. And next thing you know, this big gift shows and they're not going to eat it all themselves. They're going to pass it out to everybody. Who sent this? Oh, it's Kathy. I sent her over a referral. Really? Oh, that my person never does that. Like, just get in pocket, like send it to their work. Like I have done that many times. And I have somebody that works in an office and it might be an insurance agent. And the next thing you know, I send them a big box of brownies and then they're sharing them with everybody. And then I'm not doing it because I'm trying to necessarily, I'm doing it because I know that they're probably going to talk about me. Of course, I want to show my appreciation to that person. I don't say, here, share it with everybody. And if anybody else could use my services, let me know. But then then what happens is you're sending it to try to get something in return. You're disguising it as appreciation and gratitude. Chapter 5 of my book is called Chocolate Frosted Dog Crap. And that's exactly what it is. So if it's your birthday and I send you a birthday card from afar, it looks like a piece of chocolate cake with frosting on it until you open it, until it gets in front of you. And I set this cake down and you're like, that's not chocolate cake. You can literally smell it. It's crap. It goes in the garbage. It doesn't land with a warm and fuzzy. The same thing as if I was to send you a birthday card that says, happy birthday. Hope everything's going great in your business and your family. And then P.S. the greatest compliment in the world is a warm referral. Oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. Then it becomes a piece of marketing. I'm disguising it as appreciation and gratitude. And it's what we call sending out poopaganda.
I like that.
So that's kind of like, I do share that because when you're doing this, you want it to be genuine and you want it to be authentic, because if it comes across, it could actually do more harm than good.
What is your opinion on these like gift baskets and wine and sending these types of gifts without actually really understanding what the other person likes? I mean, I call them just like generic type of gifts. Do you think that they do you any favor or they're actually like a disadvantage?
Well, I feel like it's number one, if somebody receives that and they think negatively of it, I almost feel like there's something wrong with that person. You're going out, you already try to do something nice, you're trying to do something. Maybe it lands differently if somebody says, well, I told them that I don't drink and they sent me wine. Then that's a little different because you're not listening to your customer. You're not listening to the person. However, I have a drink from time to time. However, if somebody sent me a basket or a wine or something like that, I would go out of my way to say, that's really nice of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's nice. Even if I don't drink it, I might bring it to the next house I go to, like I'll bring it as a gift when I go to somebody else's house for dinner. It's like, I'll bring it kind of, and, I'll have it at my house when somebody comes to my house to drink, I'll have something there and I'll store it, so now, and the other thing too, is some people get to the point where they're like, yeah, that's great. I feel guilty because I haven't. I just feel like, well, it's never too late to appreciate. Like if you have that and you say, well, geez, this happened back in December and I still feel guilty. Tell them you feel guilty. It might be amazing. Say, hey, I've been feeling guilty since December, because I keep thinking of you and I haven't officially thanked you for going out of your way or picking my daughter up from school when I'm tied up. Like it means a lot to me that you're always there to help me, whether it's a next door neighbor or a friend's parent or something. Like when you start doing that and getting in the habit of doing it, not just in business, and you do it elsewhere. Like my business partner, he sells private jets for a living. He's an executive at a private, huge company. And he gets in the habit of sending 6 cards every day. But they're not always business. Some is personal, some is business. I remember 10 years ago, and he was doing this years and years ago. He sent it to his bus driver, probably his kid, that it brings to and from school every day. And he goes, this guy every day is waving to me when I bring my son out to the school bus. And he goes, I'm just going to send him a card, thanking him for bringing my son safely to and from school every day. And that means the world to me because my son means the world to me. Therefore, I appreciate you and everything you do. Aww. The guy got off the bus, shook his hand with a tear in his eye and said, I've been driving bus for like 13 years and I've never had anybody say thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when you get into a habit of doing that kind of stuff, it starts getting addicting and it starts making you feel really good because you're getting text messages and emails. And cards are not the only way. It's just, I feel like it's one of the best ways because nobody does it anymore. Showing up in a mailbox makes you stand out. Buy a stack of cards and hand it. Go to Walmart, go to Walgreens. AM cards, people can sign up for free and send a card. I just think that it's just being able to make it personalized with a picture and doing something like that to make it above and beyond. Like I had somebody run a marathon and they were raising money for their kid who had surgery at Boston Children's Hospital. It was life-saving surgery. And like they ran it to raise money for the Boston Children's Hospital. And like, so it was big and near to their art. People that train for a marathon, that's a lot of work. I mean, I ran 2 half marathons before and I had to get medical treatment at the end of both of them. And so I have a personal appreciation for that. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of training. That's a lot of work. I'm like, good for them. Then they cross the finish line and you take that picture and put it on a card and send it to them. Number one, they're never going to throw it away. Number two, they think of you differently because they're like, that was really nice. People have intentions, but then never act on them. And so just being intentional. And if I could give people just one thing that they can take away from this podcast and say, okay, I want to implement appreciation marketing. Where do I start? Because there's a million things that we just talked about a lot of different things and it could get over.
And thank you for that, because that is exactly where I was going with. So you chose that you've been listening to other episodes.
So if there's just one thing that you could take away, here's what I would do. Time block appreciation marketing for 30 minutes in your calendar next week. Okay. So what day is this that you're listening to the podcast? Let's say you're listening to this podcast on a Wednesday. I would pick next Wednesday and time block 30 minutes and type in appreciation marketing. Now, if you do nothing between now and next Wednesday, something else will fill up that 30 minutes and you will not end up doing anything because you don't have anything planned. Here's what you're going to do over the next 7 days. You're going to keep your antennas up and you're going to recognize, appreciate, or congratulate somebody. And you're going to look for different opportunities. And my guess, maybe 5 to 7. It might be more, it might be less. I'll give you some examples. Maybe somebody's dog just passed away. It's a family member, and you want to recognize that maybe you want to send an AM card and put the Rainbow Bridge poem in there and take the picture of the dog that just passed and put it on the card and just write a little message. And, I've done that. People call me with tears in their eyes, trying to hold back from being choked up. Maybe somebody just had a baby. Maybe somebody got promoted at work. these different life events that are meaningful. Maybe their daughter just graduated college and they got the cap and gown on. You got the family picture. So what I would do is on my phone, in my notes, I would have a running list, or email yourself and don't open it. And just in the subject line, just put like in the subject line. So then the following week, when you show up to your own appointment with yourself for appreciation marketing, you have 5 to 7 things that you can check off. Now, what's going to end up happening is over the course of the following week, when people are getting these cards, you're going to start feeling like what it feels like to go out of your way to make somebody else's day better, to put a smile on somebody else's face. And then you do that consistently, week in, week out. You do 5 a week for a year. You have over 250 different times that you've actually touched people. 4 years down 4 years is going to come and go. You do it to 1,000 times. Now, maybe one person, you might do it 2 or 3 different times over the next 3 or 4 years, but you're going to be looking for these different opportunities. And people don't forget this stuff. Heck, my high school assistant baseball coach, I never even realized that I hand wrote him a card after. So my high school baseball coach, assistant coach, he passed away from cancer a few years ago, and I didn't make it home. I feel really bad I didn't get a chance to make it home for his services. Somebody took a picture of a note that I wrote him. I don't even remember, but I graduated high school and I wrote him like a heartfelt note of what it meant for him, all the years and all the hours that he spent on the baseball field and practice field, and like thanking him. He had that. He had a box that was in his bedroom that he put meaningful things in. And that box was displayed at his funeral. Somebody took a picture and I was all choked up. I was I don't even remember that note. Wow. Like, how can you show up in somebody else's life to make that box?
That's beautiful, Curtis. I got goosebumps just listening to you. Please tell us, where can people find you?
Online, Curtis Lewsey, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, starting to get out there a little bit more. The book is Appreciation Marketing. It's on Audible. You can listen to it. I think we got to update we just got a whole big shipment. We ran out. And so there's a whole bunch more that we should be uploading to Amazon here soon. But Audible's great. You can also go to appreciationmarketing.com/audiobook, appreciation marketing, and you can listen to it for free. You can download it for free, give away as a gift. Now, one thing that I would recommend, that if you like the idea of sending some cards, go to amcards.com. Sure, it's on my hat. amcards.com. Sign up for free. Send your first card for free. And then there is a member of our team that will probably reach out to you. And if you want to do a demo and learn a little bit more, that's great. If you mention that you were on this podcast, I'll make sure that my team waives the entire $199 setup fee. And so there's no contracts and people can just get started with a low membership. So if they just mention the podcast, we got to just mention it to my team, because you'll sign up for free and then you'll see that you have to pay $199 as a system license one time, but I'll make sure I cover that for you. And if there's something that you see as a fit for your business and stuff like that.
Awesome, Curtis. That is so very generous of you and so really appreciated. So if you want to take that offer, go ahead and do it. You will have all of the links and all of the social profiles from Curtis in the show notes. So please go ahead and do that. Thank you so much, Curtis.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And it was an honor to be here today.